Good day to everyone. I'm Dr. Ferdinand Piano from University of Makati, and today we're going to be talking about how to write a research introduction and the background of the study. So for most researchers, especially for students who are new to writing a thesis or a research, medyo ito yung isang bagay na nag-struggle yung ating mga estudyante o yung ating mga researchers because the introduction and the background normally is the starting point of your study. So kapag ka medyo hindi natin naunawaan yung context ng introduction and ng background of the study, even its difference, medyo magiging magulo yung direction ng ating research. Remember that the introduction as well as your background sets the tone in writing your research paper. So let's proceed. Okay. So what exactly is a research introduction? A research introduction is basically that part of the research which introduces the entire scope of the study, narrating from the wider coverage before it gets to a more specific and more definite topic or agenda. So yung ating research introduction daw po is of course the one that introduces the entire research to the readers of your research. So basically ang context po niya is medyo malawak muna. Okay? So kung meron tayong topic in mind, let's say training for employees, medyo yung atake po natin or yung approach po natin in starting with our introduction is pwedeng definition type, no? Medyo i-define natin konti yung topic na yon, and then saka natin siya ina-narrate in terms of what is the status or what is the situation of training, no? Or of training of employees in, let's say, the whole country, no? Sometimes yung iba nga umaabot pa yung coverage nila ng ibang bansa, eh. Pero kahit yung on a national level or on a national scale, pwede na po yun. Okay? So that is what we mean by entire scope, no? Or wider coverage. Okay? Then habang tumatakbo or naisusulat po natin yung iba't ibang mga paragraph, we are moving to a more specific and more definite topic or more definite agenda, which is kung tungkol saan ba talaga yung topic ng research mo, no? Okay? Kung training of employees yan, we have to be a little bit more specific na down the line, no? Kung anong uri ng mga empleyado ba yung sa subject natin for training, no? O kaya kung anong uri ng training yung pwede nating gamitin sa kanila, no? So that depends on your topic or on your agenda. Next, the information that it has brings the readers to understand what the study is all about in general. It highlights the major components of the study, such as numbers and figures related to the subject matter. Okay? So, dinadala daw po nito, no, yung mga readers para maunawaan yung konteksto ng buong study as a whole or in general. So, dapat dito may highlight din yung mga bagay na importante, no, in terms of gathered information. Kasi nga, research. So, meaning ng research, you must have done some readings prior to writing your research or prior to writing your study. Hindi pa pwede kasing makakapagsulat ka nang wala kang man lang ginawang mga pagbabasa, no? Or pag-gather ng mga information, pag-analyze ng mga information na siyang i-include mo sa isusulat mo. Take note that in research introduction, may pagka-narrative ang dating nito. Parang nagkukwento yung ating researcher, yung ating nagsusulat, no? So base sa mga napakinggan niya, base sa mga nabasa niya, base sa mga nalaman niya, okay? At doon niya ilalagay yun sa kanyang sinusulat. Okay? Binanggit dito yung mga numbers and figures. Okay? Yung mga numbers and figures tinutukoy dito is yung mga usually mga data, okay, mga percentages, mga size, mga volume, no? Mga bilang. No? Let's say we're talking of millions, we're talking of thousands, okay? Pero depende yan sa kung ano yung topic na o yung subject matter na tinutukoy mo, no? For example, if you're talking of unemployment, so pwede nating sabihin dyan using numbers and figures that the Philippines has an estimated unemployment rate of, let's say, 5%, no, for 2021. So, numbers na po yun. Okay? That is if yung research topic mo ay may kinalaman sa employment. No? Okay? Kaya po pwede rin maisama, no, or may discuss sa iyong introduction yung unemployment rate. Okay? That is what we mean by numbers and figures. It also provides information on the trends, issues, problems, and solutions, also known as tips, on the topic or subject matter being studied. Okay, so ano ba yung mga trends? So kung ano-ano po yung mga napapalabas sa balita. Okay, ano po yung mga lumalabas na mga artikulo sa newspapers. Okay, or po pwede rin in today's time yung pagiging useful ng social media. No? Okay, it might be a trend. No? You might be able to get trends from there. Okay, next is yung mga issues, or isama na rin natin yung problems. No? Issues and problems po pwedeng the whole sector or the whole industry might be experiencing some kinds of issues and some kinds of problems, which of course prompted the researcher to write a thesis on that. Okay, so pwede po nating isama yan, no, dito sa ating sinusulat na research introduction. Okay, solutions may also be included, okay, if available, no, kung ano po yung mga ginawa ng mga companies before para i-address yung issues and problems na yun, you may also include that, no, for reference. Kasi po baka po pwedeng magamit din yun, no, in writing your proposal at the end of your research. Okay, pero kung wala, well, that is the burden on the part of the researcher to find solution. Maybe after he conducted the research, baka dun siya makapag-provide ng solution. Okay? Let's move forward. Okay. It is important to note that in research introduction and even in the background of the study, to include information cited from reputable sources such as newspapers, research journals, websites, online published researches, etc. So, dito po dapat nagsasama tayo or nag-i-include tayo, though the researcher is narrating, no? Sinusulat niya yung kanyang saloobin, yung kanyang nalalaman, no? Yung kanyang mga nabasa, no? Okay. Pero dapat itong mga to ay sinusuportahan din ng mga substantial information that is from reputable sources such as mga newspapers. Okay? Yung mga article kasing mga isinusulat dyan, published materially mined or published information. Okay? Now, pwede rin yung mga research journals. Okay? You have to cite certain sentences, phrases, or maybe even paragraphs, no, from research journals para ma-prove yung mga ideas na isinulat mo is may katotohanan. Okay? You may also get that from websites or online published researches. Through the writing skills of the researcher though the writing skills of the researcher will be strictly required in writing both the introduction and the background of the study, it is best to include information sourced from other, as mentioned above, so as to prove your point and support your idea or claim on a certain issue. So, kaya nga na binanggit ko, yung mga citations po na napaka-importante in writing your research and writing a research for both introduction and background of the study. Kasi nga po, yan din yung makakapagbigay sa iyo ng suporta or patunay na yung mga binabanggit mo or yung mga isinulat mo ay may katotohanan. Okay? So, dapat po hindi tayo magiging opinionated. No? Okay? Kasi may pinagbasihan ka ng mga sinasabi mo. In fact, sabi sa third bullet, let's say that you wrote, there is an increase in the number of people relying on social media for news and information. Now, you might be true. The researcher who wrote that might be true, no? But that may still be very argumentative, no? Why? Because for a researcher to claim something like that without even a supporting information, okay? So dapat it is supported, no? Okay, and you may support that by citing sources claiming the same idea. Okay, sabi dito, this may be argumentative. I mean, the one that he wrote, no? Okay. For a researcher to claim, if not supported by citing sources claiming the same, idea. So yan po yung importante dyan sa pagsusulat ng ating research introduction. Okay? Now, if we are going to write a full paper na research, normally ang introduction would spend about 3 pages. Okay? For using Arial 12 and double space as the dimensions of as the text dimensions, okay, or text requirement. So mga 3 pages po yan, and roughly around 6 to 7 paragraphs siguro. But in most of them, okay, dapat po yung researcher yung nagsulat. Okay, pero dapat mag-cite din siya ng mga examples um, from the or mag-cite din siya ng mga resources na kinuha niya just to support his claim or idea doon sa mga isinulat niya. Okay? Now here we have an example of an introduction written by my thesis advisee in the Masters in Business Administration sa graduate school po ng University of Caloocan City. Ang pangalan po ng researcher dito is si Miss Ivy Avellanosa. Ito po yung kanyang research title, Compliance and Experience of Employees on the Training Programs of Selected Companies, Basis for Digital Platforms Improvement. Okay? So, nandito po yung kanyang introduction. So, per University of Caloocan City Grad School template kasi, nire-require kami ng aming dean, no, ng graduate school dean namin na kada chapter meron daw at least 1 to 2 sentences of a short introduction as to what that chapter is all about. Okay, then next to that is, of course, yung first part ng research, which is the introduction. So, yung kanyang topic kasi ay may kinalaman sa training programs. So, that's why yung kanyang unang bagsak ng sinulat is may kinalaman din sa training program. No? Dito, dinefine niya, no? Kung ano yung training program. And the rest of the information followed. Okay? So, take note, dapat po sa introduction, gayon din sa background of the study, dapat po, majority of those written in these parts must be in writing of the researcher, meaning yung researcher po yung nagsulat at hindi lang basta-basta kinuha or kinopya kung saan-saan. Do pwede naman yung, kailangan din meron mag-cite na mga sources na from reputable sources of information, pero mas kailangan pa rin talaga na madami ang isinulat dito ng mga researcher. Okay? Ginagamit lang naman yung mga citations na yun just to support the argument or just to support the idea of the researcher. Okay? So, ayan po yung kanyang ginawang research introduction. Okay. So, training programs, yung simula ng kanyang introduction, and then sinundan niya ng employees need to be aware on the company's values and process by having training programs. So it's still basically about training programs. Okay? So ito na po yung second page ng kanyang introduction. Now, dito nag-cite na siya. Sabi niya, according to Health and Safety Executive 2008, in a standard dictionary definition. Okay, so I think this is something to do with defining the training programs pa rin. Okay? Pero dito, kung mapapansin niyo po, medyo naging slightly, medyo slowly nag-move out na siya from just explaining or from just discussing training programs. Kasi pagdating po dito, medyo lumipat na siya sa iba pang topic, no, which is about digital platforms. Okay? Nabahagi ng kanyang thesis title. Okay? So, hanggang sa dito, may mga sinite na siyang mga example, okay, through a citation, kung ano-ano yung mga, perhaps, iba't ibang modes of digital platforms training. Okay? Take note also that in writing your introduction and even in your background of the study, consider the main topics from your thesis title. Okay? So, yung simula ng kanyang research ay may ng kanyang introduction ay may kinalaman sa training programs, which was obviously mentioned in her research title. Okay, and then after a couple of paragraphs or maybe after 2 pages, saka na siya lumipat sa mas specific na agenda or topic, which is the digital platforms. Okay, which is seen in this page also. Okay, now let's talk about the background of the study. Okay, so background of the study is almost similar to that of the research introduction. The difference is that this part focuses more on on the main topic or agenda. The discussion and the information of which are deeper and more detailed. So kaya po nung binanggit dyan, um, kagaya lang din po ng research introduction yung background of the study. Okay? Kung paano nyo po isinulat yung introduction is as is or similar lang din po ng background of the study. The only main difference, I guess, would be the scope nung pinag-uusapan. No? Okay? Yung scope ng detalye. Kasi sa introduction, medyo wide pa siya. Medyo malawak pa yung scope niya. Pero sa background of the study, you should be more specific on the agenda or on the research topic, no? Okay, like in this case, pwedeng ang pag-usapan na po is maybe yung digital platforms na, okay? Using the example of the research featured in the previous slide. Likewise, this part also applies the trends, issues, problems, and solutions or yung tips framework to provide relevant information on the topic or subject matter being studied. So, ano rin po yung ginawa natin sa introduction of the research, ganun din po, no? So, apply din natin yung tips, okay? Yung tips na framework. Now, imagine a funnel shape where the topmost part is wider, which means covering a wider scope. Na yung pag sinabi po nating funnel, yung para siyang embudo. Okay. Di po ba yung embudo is malaki yung topmost part niya, maluwag yung topmost part niya, pero sa bandang dulo, narrow na. No? Okay, or maskip na. Okay, kasi nga po, para ang sinasuggest naman is, ang i-discuss muna po dito sa part na to is yung main topic. Okay, so, funnel shape. So parang pwede natin sabihin na yung introduction part is yung wider part nung funnel, no? Okay, tapos yung background of the study is yung medyo bandang baba na po ng funnel or ng embudo. Okay? So para makapag-focus ka na sa mas specific na topic covering your research. But as it goes down, the funnel's bottom part becomes slimmer, which emphasizes on the point that the discussions are more specific than before. Okay, so in comparison to the introduction, dapat mas specific na po yung discussion under the background of the study. Now, for us to understand that a bit further, let's use an example. So, ito po yung kanyang for the same researcher and for the same research title, Compliance and Experience of Employees on the Training Programs of Selected Companies, Basis for a Digital Platforms Improvement. Again, dito po yung advisee ko o yung researcher po natin ay highlight na yung featured company niya. Okay? Na nagkakandak ng mga digital platforms. Okay? Na pwede niyang gamitin or pwedeng i-improve para sa mas mainam or mas efficient or pwedeng mas effective din na approach in training their BPO or call center employees. Okay? So sa background of the study, feature niya na yung master agent company. Okay? Which is a company that performs training for BPO employees para maka-onboard or para makapasok sa mga BPO companies. Okay? So dito may master agent companies na. Okay? So kung ano na pong mga technology or mga practices ang ginagamit nila using digital platforms or using online trainings. Okay. So, kasama na po yun dyan. Okay. Remember, dun sa introduction, narrow yung kanyang, broad yung kanyang yung pagsisimula, no? Kasi sinimula niya with the training programs. Pero dito, mas specific na because she now focused on digital platforms. Okay. Digital platforms used in training employees. Okay. So, dito po may binanggit na siya tungkol sa yan. current digital platforms are also moving towards more engaging formats. Okay, so hindi na masyadong nakafocus sa training programs lang in general, no? But more on the digital platforms na siya. Okay, puro digital platforms na. So ito, technologies na yung ginagamit niya or binabanggit niya dito, no? Okay, kasi nga may kinalaman yung technology sa digital platforms. Okay, parang sa introduction kasi nung binanggit niya yung training programs, pwede kasing yung mga na-highlight doon is yung mga traditional way pa to train employees, no? So maybe pen and paper, o kaya yung mismong yung mga seminar type, okay? Or orientation, okay, baka pwedeng may mga demo pa sila, no? Pero sa digital platforms na tinutukoy niya is baka iba na po yung context ng kanilang training. Okay? So like I said, kung ano po yung ginawa sa introduction, ganun din po yung gagawin sa background. Dito po meron siyang citation blend. According to trainingindustry.com 2022, okay, so meron din siyang citation para masabing yung mga binanggit niya dito ay hindi lang talaga nagmula sa kanya, kundi may kinuha din siyang mga reputable sources, okay, to support her ideas. Next. Okay, so on the third and the last paragraph, page, I'm sorry. So dito, training programs, okay, pero ang pinaka-importante din po sa pinaka-huling-huling part ng inyong background of the study is mai-highlight nyo na po yung mga rational o yung mga reasons kung bakit naisipan ng researcher na gumawa ng research. Okay? Kasi kung wala ka naman nakitang issues or wala ka naman nakitang problem, bakit mo pa siya gagawa ng research? There must be something wrong, there must be something that needs to be talked about, no? Kaya mo i-feature yung topic na to or yung agenda na to in your research, no? In fact, dito sa kanyang pinakahuling-huling normally nilalagay sa pinakahuling-huling paragraph. Okay? Yung yung pinaka-last or yung second to the last paragraph, normally dyan na po binabagsak ng mga researchers yung mga dahilan nila kung bakit nila gagawin ito ng research, okay? Which propels you or which prepares you to start writing naman yung statement of the problem, okay? So, sabi dito, the objectives of this study are to innovate the process of compliance and experience of employees about training programs using digital platforms. Okay? So, meron na siyang sinasuggest dyan. Okay, na parang kaya dyan po ginawa itong research ito kasi may mga nakita po siyang mga dapat ayusin or dapat i-improve, no, sa sistema ng training ng kanilang company. Kaya po niya naisipan na gawan ito ng research. Okay? So, ang kasunod na po nitong background of the study is yung pagsusulat na po natin or yung paglalatag na po natin ng ating statement of the problem or yung mga tanong na dapat nating sagutin in your research. Okay? And this, by the way, will be featured in my next video lecture. So do stick around and follow me on my next video lecture because I'm going to be featuring how to write the statement of the problem. Okay, so that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye po.